welcome back to my channel. My name is Darian and today I am going to be doing the Nope Trope book tag. So this tag was created by Zoe from Zoe's All Booked and she has an amazing channel. I will leave the original video she did down below if you guys want to check her out. She is awesome, I love her. And I was tagged by Georgia from Apple Reads, who I will also leave linked down below. Again, you should check her out too. She is also awesome and thank you Georgia for tagging me in this tag. So the Nope Trope book tag is basically based off of tropes in books that most people do not like, myself included. So yeah, let's just get started with the questions. So the first trope is eavesdropping or miscommunication, which is probably my least favorite trope ever. I hate like, especially when you have both of those together, like someone is eavesdropping and they hear only part of a conversation and so they think that like something happened when it didn't or whatever, and they don't talk to the person about it and they just assume things, and then there's this whole problem that doesn't need to be there. Like, it's so annoying. I hate miscommunication. Anyways, so the prompt for this trope is to name a book that you heard great things about and you expected to love but you ended up really hating. And for me, I had a few that I could choose, but the one I went with is Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. I haven't talked too much about this book on my channel because I read this a few months before I started my channel, but this book, the first time I heard about this book was from Emma Books, and she absolutely loves this book, and at that time she was one of the only booktubers I watched, so I trusted her opinion because everything I had read that she had recommended I really liked. So she was really the only person at that time that I heard talking about this book because, again, she was one of the only booktubers I watched. So I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna love this book. Like, it sounds great. There's hate to love. That's one of my favorite tropes. And then I finally read it in February, I think. And by then I had started to hear mixed things about this book. Some people really liked it, some people didn't like it, so I had no idea how I would feel, but I still kind of expected to really like it, but I didn't. I think I gave this 2 or 2.5 stars because there are a lot of aspects of this book that like were kind of fun. Like, I didn't like hate read this. I was reading it and I wasn't bored. Like, I was fine reading this, but I think this novel is a debut and you can definitely tell by the writing. Like, I didn't think the writing was very good in this book and I found it really distracting by how bad it was. And also, this book takes place in like a version of France, but it's not France, but it's basically France, and so every once in a while people will just be speaking in French, and the French in this book was not good. Like, I don't think she did, I don't know who she talked to or how she did her research on like proper how to speak French.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Not that I speak French super well, but I grew up in Quebec. I've lived in Quebec my whole life, so I spent a lot of time in school learning French. So reading this book, I was like, that's not that's not proper French, so that really bugged me. But anyways, yeah, this is definitely a book that I thought I would like and I just didn't. So the next trope is love triangles, and the prompt is to name a series that you can't pick your favorite book for. And this one I also had trouble picking because, I mean, first of all, I have trouble like finishing series. Like, there's so many series that I'm in the middle of right now, so I feel like I couldn't pick any of those because like I haven't finished the series, so I don't know which one is my favorite book yet. So the amount of series that I finished is not very big. The one I decided to go with is Heartstopper, the Heartstopper series by Alice Oseman. There are 3 volumes in this series, and I mean the series is technically not done, but I have read all the books that are out, so I think I can count it. But I mean, also this is technically like one big volume, like, because this is Alice Oseman's webcomic series, so you can read these books on her website, and like if you go to the second book, the page number, it doesn't start at 1, it starts at like 260 least 5. So this is technically all one book, kind of, but anyways, I'm counting it. But yeah, I don't know which of these volumes are my favorite because I gave them all 5 stars. I love these so much. If I had to pick, it might be the second one, but I love the other 2 so much too. So yeah, if you haven't read these yet, I really recommend it. They're so good, they're so wholesome, and they're so sweet, and yeah, I really love this series. The next trope is the not like other girls or didn't know I was beautiful trope, which, oh my god, this is the most annoying thing. Like, especially when it's like a girl and like she's nerdy, so she wears glasses and she always has her hair up in a ponytail. I'm kind of thinking more of like TV shows and movies more than books, but this applies to books too. And then like she meets this guy and he takes her glasses off and he says like, you should let your hair down, and then all of a sudden she's beautiful, like, and she was beautiful the whole time but no one knew. Like, it's so annoying. So the prompt is to name a book that has a pretty cover, but the book was pretty boring, and this one was easy for me. I'm sorry, but I have to say Circe by Madeline Miller. I mean, this book, like, I almost bought this book so many times before I read it because the cover is one of the most beautiful covers ever, and like, the only reason I didn't buy the book was because it is really expensive, that book, like, and I had, you know, like, if you're gonna buy it, you should get the hardcover because it's stunning. But like, I kept not buying it because it was so expensive. And now that I've read it, I am so glad that I didn't actually buy it because I did not like that book. I thought it was really boring. Like, the writing is beautiful, so I understand why a lot of people do like it, but oh my god, it took me forever to read that book. I had to listen to the audiobook while I read it because I needed something to like push me along. I thought it was so boring. I should have DNF'd it, but I didn't. Yeah, I didn't like that book. So the next trope is all-consuming love, and the prompt is to name a book that gave you a book hangover, and let's all say it together now. Strange the Dreamer. Yeah, my baby. I talk about this book all the time. Definitely gave me a book hangover. The sequel as well, which is right there. Both of those books. Well, yeah, both of them. I was gonna say especially this one, but like the second one too, cause the second one, like, that's the end of the series, and I was like, what do I do now? Like, but this one, with the way it ends, I was wrecked. I didn't know what to do with my life. I was just staring into the abyss. Like, oh my gosh. But I mean, we all know I love this book so much. It's my favorite book. I don't need to talk too much about it. I do want to give an honorable mention to Where Dreams Descend because that one definitely gave me a book hangover. I finished that book at like 3 in the morning and I could not compute. I didn't know how to function after that, especially with that ending too. Like, oh my gosh. So I can't wait for that second book, but I had to say Strange and Dreamer, okay? It's not my fault. The next trope is the douchebag boyfriend, which we all hate, obviously. And what is it? The prompt is to name a book that took you a while to get into, but you ended up loving. And for this one was also pretty easy for me, but this was Crescent City, or House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas, because if you guys have seen any of my videos where I do talk about this book, the first half of this book, I wasn't super into it. Like, it was a 3-star read for me up until halfway through. Like, I was like, it's fine, but I really wanted to like this more, and I still have 400 pages to read, and then all of a sudden, this book took a turn. The second half of this book was 5 stars. Like, the ending of this book is one of my favorite endings ever. Like, I found it was so well written, it was so intense, and I like could not stop reading because I was like, what is happening right now? Ugh, yeah, like, I loved the second half of this book, and I feel like if I reread it, then I would like the whole book better because of like how it ends, and now I know how it ends. I think it would make me appreciate the beginning more. So I did end up giving this book 4 stars because I thought it was only fair since I wasn't super into the book until that halfway point. But if you guys haven't read this, I know it's so long, but honestly I think it's worth it. That if you're the same as me and find the first half a bit boring, and you're not into it yet, I find the ending is so worth it. Like, getting through that first 400 pages, I know it's a lot, but I really, really like this book, and I really hope that the next books in the series they're more like the second half of this book, so I will just be into it from the get-go. But yeah, I really like this book. So there you go. Okay, so the last, it's not really a trope, but the last question, I guess, is to name my favorite and least favorite tropes. So my favorite tropes, I mean, a lot of them have to do with romance, but I love the fake dating trope. I love hate to love and friends to love. I don't think I could pick between one, because like hate to love I love because there's just so much like angst, and like you could tell you're like, oh, you guys like each other, you're just pretending, like you don't actually hate each other. I love that. But I also love the friends to lovers trope, especially if it's like childhood friends to lovers, because they grew up together, and usually like one of them has like always loved the other one, but the other one didn't know, and the other one, it took them a lot longer to realize that they liked the other one. Like, I love that trope too. I also love the found family trope. Obviously, I think everyone loves that trope, but like, yeah. I also love found, I guess this is technically found family, but specifically like found parental figures, like when a character never really had like a mother or father really, like growing up, like they didn't really have a parent who cared for them, and then they find someone who like kind of treats them like they're their kid, and like, oh, I love that so much. Like, it always makes me want to cry. But yeah, I love that. And then in terms of tropes I hate, I mean, all of the ones we already named. Miscommunication is by far my least favorite. I actually don't mind love triangles depending on how it's done, but also it really depends. Like, I don't like love triangles when it's usually like two guys and a girl. That's usually how they are, and I don't like it when the girl like literally cannot decide, and so she kind of like, there's one scene where she kisses one guy, and then there's the next scene she's kissing the other guy, and she's like, I'm so confused. Like, I really hate that. But I do like it when it's done well, and like there's two people who like one person, or a proper triangle when everyone likes each other in like a true triangle fashion instead of like a V. I think Zoe talked about this in her video. But yeah, so those are annoying. What else do I not like? I also hate, like, this usually happens in the series, but when a couple like finally gets together and you've been waiting for them to get together, and then they do, and then they're separated for reasons, and I'm like, no, like, I understand it like moves the plot forward, but I hate when that happens, because I'm like, let us see them together, please. Like, they're always separated for some reason, and I'm like, why? Like, just keep them together for a bit, okay? Stop torturing me. And another trope that's probably my least favorite, like in addition to miscommunication, is when you have like character A, and it's usually like character A and B are in a relationship or something like that. Character A, they like find out information, or there's some reason that they feel like if character B is close to them, then they're not safe, so they push character B away in order to keep them safe. But like, to push them away, they start like insulting them and pretending that they don't like them, and I'm like, I hate that so much. So I'm like, I guess that's an example of miscommunication. Like, just talk to them, like tell them what's the problem, and they can make their own decision whether they want to be around you or not. Like, the only example that I can think of right now is, I feel like that happens at some point in the Mortal Instruments series. Like, I feel like I clearly remember like Jace doing that to Clary at one point, and he like starts insulting her and pushes her away to keep her safe. I don't know what book that happens in, and I don't remember the context at all, but I remember being so angry because I was like, just tell her what's going on. Anyways, I'm rambling a bit, but I do hate that. So that's the Nope trope book tag. Let me know what tropes you guys love or hate. And oh, I just realized I didn't think of anyone to tag. Okay, so I'm gonna tag Rachel from Let Me in the Library. I'm going to tag Sasha from The Redhead Reader, and I am going to tag Amanda from Ginger Snapped Reads. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. I hope you guys liked it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys soon with another video soon. Bye!